Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So good to see you. Good to have people on the recording, watching, and someone recording it. Thank you very much. Let's look at the announcements on the back of your bulletin if you have one. If you have any prayer requests or anything, any church business, call Tom. Army. We'll do our best. It's so good to see everyone this morning, and thank you for coming out. We are returned to worship, so everyone goes by the protocol. It's very important. No hugging, no handshaking, which is hard to do, isn't it? Idlewild Elementary School, the council, can you hear me, Margaret? Okay, the council voted, to send some money over to Idlewild for Thanksgiving. It was a generous amount. I'm very proud of our church, and we will be starting to gather money for Christmas to send them cards so that they could go to Publix and get stuff for Christmas for their family. So if you write a check, you can put down in the corner, it's for Idlewild. And church tithes, we will not be taking up collection, but there's a basket in the back for that. The children's home, we usually, seems like I'm just talking about money this morning, but that's what they have down here for me to talk about. We will be contributing to the children's home as we go, and we usually do that on the 5th Sunday, which we will be having a 5th Sunday in November. It's always good to have visitors and guests with us today. And I have my daughter, and I told her since she's here, she's number 1 today. And Dylan had told me I could tell any stories about him that I wanted to today. Dylan, I just want to tell one, okay? Dylan has, when he was a smaller little boy, he's a man now, came to church with us from time to time, and he knew that I was going to introduce him. I'm coming over here because I can't see him for the thing. And so one Sunday he knew it was coming. He got under the pew. And I said, that's my grandson there under the pew. That's all, Dylan. That's all. And so it's really good to have, always good to have family and to have all of you as our church family here today.
Please bow your heads and have our opening prayer. Our hearts exalt in you, O God. All knowledge has its origin in you. Our deepest hungers are satisfied as you give counsel and instruct our hearts. Be known to us now, that our covenant with you may be strengthened. Give confidence to all who enter this sanctuary, that our faith may grow, our love expand, and our hope find fulfillment. Show us the path of life and grant us courage to walk in your ways. Amen.
Standing on the promises of Christ like you, mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Be still and know I am God. The Lord of hosts is with us. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city, which shall not be moved. God will help it at the dawn of the day. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. God's voice resounds, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has wrought desolations in the earth, who makes wars cease to the end of the earth, breaks the bow, shatters the spear, and burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations. I am exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge.
Will you please bow your heads? Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for our families. Among all that we have, there are so many hurting and needy people. We lift them up to you and ask that you would bless them, help them, heal them. May your peace fill their hearts and may joy shine. We ask that you intercede for them, fulfilling their needs according to your will. We also pray that you would use us to help them in any way we can. Open our eyes and make us aware of the opportunities we have to bless others in need. All that we have is yours and we surrender it to you. We commit this prayer to you. We pray as you taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, and lead us not in, and forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me that I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks in the sound of his voice, is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me that I am his own. And the joys we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'll stay in the garden with you, for the night around me is falling, but he bids me go. Going so far, till my heart is calling, and he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me that I am his own, and the joys we share as we tarry there. None other has ever known.
Well, now it's George's turn for me to tell a story about him. His daddy sang that song to him, rocking him to sleep when he was a little boy. And it's a very special song to him, as you could tell. Well, we are living a different life now. For 9 months now. We're concerned about our health, our country's stability, our physical health, our economic situation, our parents, older friends' health, our job security, protests, rioting, looting, isolation, fires, hurricanes, just not knowing what the future holds all at once. If that's not enough to show us the rain we're going through right now, we have lots of other things, and we are just in a turmoil right now. The country doesn't seem to be united. There's injustice. We could go on and on. Enough already. I'm pretty sure that you remember the Bible story of Noah and the ark. In Genesis chapter 6, 5 through 8, the Lord saw how great man's wickedness on earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, for I am grieved that I have made them. Verse 11 states, now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. Verse 13 goes on to say, so God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people. This is quoting from the Bible. For the earth is filled with violence because of them. I'm going to destroy both them and the earth. So God instructed Noah to build an ark. Verse 22, Noah did everything just as God had commanded him. In chapter 7, verse 7 through 10 of Genesis, and Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and all the creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark. After 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. The rain fell fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Then the rain stopped. They came out of the ark, and Noah built an altar to the Lord. The Lord said, "Never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done." And in verse 9:12, and God said, "I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be cut off by the waters of a flood. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." I'm sure all of you remember that story, but it really brings back a lot of memories of childhood hearing it in church. We could stop right here and understand the rainbow after the rain. But with all the main worries and concerns, as mentioned, about the COVID-19 pandemic, etc. this year, we could surely use some rainbows right now. I wanted to point out some Bible verses to get us through the pandemic. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Psalms 46, 1-2. For we live by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5. Peace I live with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives, but not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John 14:27. The Lord will give strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. Psalms 29:11. The last one. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Matthew 6:34. The COVID-19 and other concerns of our day has completely shaken our world into something we almost do not recognize. It's a scary time to live in. But you know that God has not abandoned us. He's still providing us with love, grace, strength, and guidance during this difficult time. We need to trust in his plan for our world and take things day by day. By meditating on these Bible verses, we'll be sure to find more peace. With all this going on, how do we get our heart ready for Thanksgiving? Because I think despite all the craziness in the world, all of us want to come to the Thanksgiving table with a sense of joy and a sense of gratitude. After all, it's Thanksgiving. Right?
Right.
I mean, this day happens once a year, and we don't want to miss it. We're missing enough already by not seeing our loved ones as often as we'd like. Most of us remember Francie Swartz's book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. In this book, she tells about a guy named Jerry, who was always in a good mood and always had something positive to say. And when asked how he was doing, he would always say, "If I was any better, I'd have to be twins." Jerry was a restaurant manager who everybody loved to work for because he was so positive. And Francie said, "I don't get Jerry. I don't get it, Jerry. You couldn't possibly be upbeat all the time. How do you do it?" And Jerry replied, "Each morning when I wake up, I say to myself, Jerry, you have two choices today. You can choose to be in a bad mood, or you can choose to be in a good mood. And I choose to be in a good mood." "Oh, it's not that easy," I protested, Swartz right. "Yes, it is," Jerry responded. "Life is all about choices." Well, several years ago, Jerry's restaurant was robbed. The thieves panicked and shot him, and he was rushed to the emergency room. He spent 18 hours on the operating table and several weeks in intensive care. But he survived. Later he was asked, how did he do it? He said, "When I was lying on the floor, I remembered I had two choices. I could choose to live, or I could choose to die. I choose to live." The paramedics were encouraging, but when they wheeled him into the emergency room and saw the looks on the faces of the doctors and the nurses, I got really scared. Because in their eyes, I was a dead man, and I knew I needed to take action. And there was a big burly nurse shouting questions at me, and she asked, "Are you allergic to anything?" "Yes," Jerry replied. And the doctors and nurses stopped working as they waited for his reply. "Bullets," I answered. And over their laughter, I yelled, "I choose to live." As most of you know, I've had cancer twice. There was even a time I told George he's going to have to find a new wife because I'm not going to be here. I remember sitting in the swing. You remember that, George? But I'll never forget my oncologist telling me that 90% of survival is attitude. Well, the dean at the school where I was the counselor heard this at a staff meeting and replied, "And Miss Butler could do attitude." So Thanksgiving is the act of expressing specific gratitude to God for the blessings God has given us. I'm sure you could sit there and name many, many blessings. If you at lunch today pick up a fork to eat food, you have left blessings. There's so many. Whether they're physical, spiritual, material, or others. And as we grow as believers, we should see an attitude of thanksgiving develop in our lives. A relationship with Jesus Christ should transform us into a joyful, positive, and grateful soul. One sign that Jesus Christ is living in our hearts is gratitude. Someone once said that God lives in two places. He lives in heaven and in a humble, grateful heart. But the truth is that most of us aren't grateful people. We're much better at grumbling and complaining than we are at giving thanks. Some of us come to church and complain. Picture that. I hope they don't sing too many songs today. Or it's cold in here. Would you look at that? Someone's sitting in my chair. I've said that before. Can you believe it? The preacher's preaching too long again. And we'll never get a seat at the hometown buffet for lunch. People say all that and sometimes don't realize that they're complaining. It's a bad habit. Now, I did not put it in here, but I did read that complaining was a sin. Have you ever heard that? I have not heard that, but like I said, I did not put it in here, but I did read it in my research. We need to develop a daily habit of giving thanks, not just on Thanksgiving. An old hymn says, count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. The Apostle Paul wrote in Colossians 2:6 that our lives are to abound with thanksgiving. Colossians 4:2 that we are to be devoted to giving thanks. Giving thanks. Now, I told Tom yesterday I was going to get up here and thank him for all he did. You know what he said to me? What did he say?
You're going to embarrass me.
Don't embarrass me. So I'm not going to do that. Philippians 4:6 says, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition. With Thanksgiving present, your request, with Thanksgiving, present your request to God. Now, did you know that there's at least 4 ways that gratitude can affect your brain? You know how important your brain is? How many of you think your brain's important? Okay, a few of you do. But let me just mention a few. Your brain floods with reward chemicals. Your anxiety and your depression symptoms may lessen if you're thinking positively and have gratitude in your heart. You're more resistant to stress. You fall asleep more easily. George really has a healthy brain because he goes to sleep like that. You experience more positive emotions overall. There was a time I did biofeedback with Jackie Orlando. The way this works is you're connected up to electrodes and you're asked to think about all the positive things in your life and the places, and my positive place is on the beach with the sun beaming down and then feel the sand and hear the birds and the ocean waves. When you go to that place, on the machine hooked up, it goes, hum. But when you think of all the negative things, that are going on, COVID-19, fires, riots, unrest. It goes, boo! What does that tell you? What is going on in our body when we think of these positive things and don't give thanks and gratitude? This shows you how your body responds to positive and negative thoughts and actions. Let's see if we can get back to the rainbow. A rainbow after the sun, after the rain. After the rain, the sun shows up, and when the rays of light from the sun hits the water droplets, a rainbow appears. Let us pray. God, we trust that you are good and do good. Teach us to be your faithful people in this time of global crisis. Help us to follow in the footsteps of our faithful shepherd, Jesus, who laid down his life for the sake of love. Glorify his name as you equip us with everything needed for a glorified life and to see the rainbows and things needed for doing your will. Amen. Please listen to my favorite benediction that is in Numbers 4:24. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Go in peace. Amen.